What are the differences between folktales and legend? Some of you are probably confused whether they are the same thing or not. Well, folktales and legend are two of many types of folklore, so they are not the same. Folktales is passed down from one generation to another generation merely for entertainment purpose, while the purpose of legend is more likely to inform something. But one often interchanges between folktales and legend because both of them are told in an oral form. Then how do we distinguish them? Here I will explain briefly 8 characteristics that differentiate between folktales and legend. First, folktales are generally made not to be believed in. So for example, we have the story of Cinderella. Of course, we don't believe that the story really happens. Meanwhile, legends raises question of belief. But it doesn't mean that we all believe that the story really happens, but it kind of challenges or raises question of belief in our mind. Second, folktale sets a time removed from the present. So the time in folktale is usually not precise, like the notion of once upon a time, kind of like that. While legend sets in present or immediate past. Folktales also sets in a place far away, like imaginary places, while legend sets in a more familiar location, so it makes them more realistic to believe in. In other words, folktales can be described as timeless and placeless. So it means that you can change the setting of place and time without losing the essence of the narrative. In terms of protagonists in folktales usually have extraordinary or generic name, like Jack in Jack and the Beanstalk. Meanwhile, protagonists in legend usually have realistic name, like Cromwell. Legend may also be based on historical figures, but the adventures in it usually often exaggerated or fictionalized. In terms of length, folktales is often longer and has multi-episodic, while legend usually shorter and only has one episodic. Hence, the narration of folktales requires special skills because it is long and usually has specific structure and more difficult to memorize, while legend basically can be told by anybody. So, in terms of place or the occasion, folktales require specific times, while legends basically can be told anywhere by anybody. And last, folktales has wide distribution geographically. Again, we can use the story of Cinderella for the example. So Cinderella has thousands and variants throughout the world, while legend has more limited geographical distribution because it is tied to a certain time and place.